Bibles, turn to First Samuel chapter 19, please. Samuel chapter 19. First Samuel chapter 19. Well, you ever just sit around and just listen to what people complain about? I say people. Me, all of us, what we complain about. Things are too hot, it's too cold, too much rain, not enough rain. I mean, last year it was, I heard people talking about a while here this year, talking about how much rain it was. Oh, it's so much rain, so much rain. The year before we had a drought. They were raising water prices. I've been on night and everybody's like, oh, it's a drought, it's hot, it's cold. Kids, it's too much chores, too many chores. I want to make my bed. And they just, all kinds of stuff that people gripe about, complain. We just complain, and you get thinking about, wonder why people complain so much. Wonder what the problem is. And you get thinking about it, and it's about people just want comfort and ease and convenience. It's nice. There ain't no bread. Ain't no crackers. Where's the ketchup? I can't eat French fries without ketchup. Gosh! Me and Job. Say anything, It just, I tell my kids, I ain't drinking pop anymore. Tell my wife, don't buy any more pop. I'm quit. She don't buy no pop. There ain't no pop. Where's the pop? She's gonna keep a stash away. She knows I'm lying. I'm just excited. The point is, we just gripe and we complain. And the problem is, we just want comfort. We want ease. We just want it easy. You think about that. Think about what our goal is. And you think about that little slogan. Used to be a slogan called "No pain, no gain." And the trick to that is the goal is to have a gain. It ain't like that with us no more. It should be no strain, no pain. What about no pain? That's what we're trying to get. If I don't have the strain, there ain't going to be any pain. We just gripe and we complain. The point is that America has gotten soft. We've gotten really soft, and people don't want to push through anything anymore. They don't want to endure things anymore, and it's tough. And you listen to the media. You're told you're not supposed to have to struggle with stuff, and life should be easy and shouldn't have any problems. But I started looking up. There's the new. For a while there, it was about bullying. Bullying was the buzzword. No bullying. And now it's shaming. Don't be shaming people. There's all kinds of shaming: fat shaming, thin shaming, body shaming, political shaming. Don't be doing political shaming. Facebook shaming. Criminal shaming. Don't be making fun of criminals. Wife shaming. Wife shaming. Race shaming. We're sitting here, you get thinking about this. Women shaming. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, what about bald shaming? I don't know. Think about one day I was at work, and it'd been cold for a while, and in springtime it was a real pretty day. And I walked in from work at lunch, and I was in the office there, and it was a beautiful day. It was a Friday afternoon, and wasn't a lot going on. Everybody's going to go home anyway. I walked in, and I said, man, it is a beautiful day out there. Golly. I said, who all votes we go home? This lady jumped up. She goes, I do. And sorry, Jeannie, women ain't allowed to vote in my elections. People are thin-skinned today. I thought that was hilarious. She didn't think it's funny. I thought it's funny. But you get all kinds of stuff going. Americans are soft, and it's like we don't want any kind of trouble. We're teaching our kids to be offended, to be victims. It's like what are we? Somebody comes in and says, so and so said this about me. When I was in school, honestly, we had bullies, and you know what we did? You know, people say, yeah, you just took them out. No, we didn't. We just let them have what they wanted. Stay away from them. Learn how to deal with them. They're just going to be there. I went like Opie Taylor. I just gave them my milk money. I brought extra. Here you go. I didn't do without. You just learn how to deal with it. You just learn how to go through it. It didn't mess me up. It didn't bother me. I just learned how to deal with life. Nobody was coming to my defense. Nobody was, oh, he's going to be scarred for life. And it wasn't none of that stuff. We're just teaching our kids to be victims and be offended, and it gets to where it's like us. We're the same way. We get thin-skinned and we can't go through anything anymore, and we're just soft. And the point is that you might as well get used to it, because since the fall of man, there's been problems. There's been murder, and there's been tragedy, and there's been deceit, and there's been lying, and there's gossip, and there's things you're going to go through, and there's health issues, and there's everything under the sun that's going to cause you pain. It can happen, and it's going to happen. And you're going to face some tragedies, you're going to face some problems, you're going to go through some things. Even when you're not doing anything wrong, you're going to go through some things. And if our attitude is, woe is me, what am I going to do? Who's going to take care of me? Or I'm just going to quit. Maybe that's what our attitude is going to be. I'm just going to quit. If I was going to try, but oh gosh, the first day I tried to do this, somebody smarted off to me, so I'm going to quit. That's what happens to us. And we get to where we can't take anything anymore. We don't have any fortitude. In 1 Samuel chapter 19, you're to the point in 1 Samuel chapter 19 here where David is starting to endure some things. But you're talking about David, a man after God's own heart, and that's who He chose. God chose David because he was a man after His own heart. That's why He chose him. And David, when David was growing up, I mean, you're sitting here, he's out here with the lion, he fights a lion, he fights a bear, and he wins. He goes up there to go to this battle, and he ends up fighting Goliath, and he wins. And everybody's for David. Everything David's touching is gold. Everything David's doing, everybody loves. He's popular. He's out there. He's going to be the next king, according to Samuel. Samuel told him that. He anointed him. Everything's great. And then all of a sudden, Saul begins to get a little jealous. And Saul begins to start realizing, you know, I'm glad he killed Goliath and everything, but now this is getting a little too far. They're saying David slain his 10,000, me just thousands. Right. And you're sitting there, and he's starting to go through some things. And some real stuff, too. I mean, not like not having crackers when he come home to eat chili. It's talking about a guy here who done absolutely nothing wrong. Right, and he's starting to go through some things. 1 Samuel chapter 19 is just the start. It's just the start. And it is just one thing after another that no matter what David touches, it turns into a mess. And it looks like he did something wrong, or it looks like he was the cause of something, or it didn't turn out right like it should have turned out, and it looked like he was the guy that was the problem. And he didn't have any way to make it right. There wasn't nothing he could do. He talked to Jonathan. Jonathan went and talked to Saul, and that didn't help. I mean, he had Samuel as a prophet. Samuel ends up dying while David's on the road, while he's on the run. And he's sitting here and he's going through all these problems. In 1 Samuel chapter 19, it says this in verse 1. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill David. Why? What did he do? He didn't do nothing. Other than try to do what Saul wanted him to do. He went out there and he fought for Israel. He went out there and fought the Philistines. He killed the Philistines. He had victories over the Philistines. Did exactly what Saul wanted him to do. But when he started getting all the acclaim for it, Saul got jealous. And Saul decided he's got to go. And the Bible says, but Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul, my father, seeketh to kill thee. Now therefore, I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place, and hide thyself. And I will go out and stand beside my father in the field, where thou art, and I will commune with my father of thee, and what I see that I will tell thee. And Jonathan spake good of David unto Saul's father, and said unto him, let not the king sin against his servant, against David, because he hath not sinned against thee, and because his works have been to thee ward very good. For he did put his life in his hand and slew the Philistine. The Lord brought a great salvation for all Israel. Thou sawest it and didst rejoice. Wherefore then wilt thou sin against innocent blood to slay David without a cause? So Jonathan goes to talk to Saul, and it gets through to him a little bit here. And there's a few times here where when somebody talks to Saul, they kind of get through to him, but it don't last. Saul ends up getting enraged again. But you see right here in verse 5, he says, "Why?" He says, "Wherefore then wilt thou sin against innocent blood to slay David without a cause?" Why are you going to slay David without a cause? You know what he's saying right there? David's not done anything wrong. Right. Now guys, listen, I'll tell you this. We go through problems. And there's some times you go through problems and you've done nothing wrong. There's sometimes you go through problems because you did do something wrong. Right. And we do, and we cause problems, and we fly off the handle, or we say something we shouldn't say, or we misinterpreted something, or we did something, or we forgot to do what we were supposed to do and cause some problems, and it was our own fault. Right. But here, according to the Bible, David didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. David really does have a clean heart and all this. He's just trying to do right. Right. And what happens to him is that Saul wants to kill him. Here in 1 Samuel chapter 19 starts a whole list of some stuff here where David goes through and has problems. And all of a sudden after this little deal right here goes on and they find out that Saul really is wanting to kill David, and David decides, you know what, he comes back and he thinks everything's good, and then Saul tries to take a javelin and kill him. But David's on the run. And when David takes off, David's got a few men with him and they're taking off. He's just trying to get out of town. He's just trying to leave. He's just trying to figure out what's going on. I just got to get out of here until I can get my senses to me. I don't want to bother nobody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just got to get away. I don't know what's going on. You ever been there? Somebody ever been mad at you? You had absolutely no idea what's wrong with them? I mean, they're just mad at you. You can tell all of a sudden, you're talking to them. You can tell they're short with you, and they're frustrated with you. You don't know why. You think, man, what? You just starting to go back through what I say. What have I said? What went on? Have we had anything, conversations? That's where David's at. David has no idea. He's sitting here. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He was serving God. He killed Goliath. He just wants to do right, and now he's got a problem. And so now you sit here and you look at this problem. He's on the run, and he's trying to get out of town, trying to get his senses together. Now, David's not going to quit. Now, you sit here and you begin to think, what does it take? Things that's going to make you say, I'm done serving God. What would it take? I'm done. I've had enough. I'm done serving God. Because I hear people say that. I hear people say that. I see people do that. They get frustrated with life. They have disappointments. There's things they go through, and maybe some anger issues or tragedies they go through, and they decide they're going to quit on God. Well, David ain't quitting on God. But David's trying to figure some things out. And as he gets out of town and he starts to take off, he realizes, you know what, I need some food. I need some food. I need some weapons. I got out of there. I didn't take anything with me. And he goes over there and talks to Ahimelech, the priest. And he gets over there and he decides to talk to him. He ends up getting some bread. He ends up getting Goliath's sword and gets all that stuff together, and then he goes on his way. And then what ends up happening is there's somebody there named Doeg that ends up seeing that situation. And when he sees that situation, he tells Saul, and Saul goes there to Ahimelech and he says, what are you doing? He said, well, you inquired of the Lord for David, and David's my enemy. And Ahimelech's like, I don't know David's your enemy. David's one of your best guys. I don't know what's going on. And Saul said, you've been helping him. And Saul ain't listening to nothing. Saul kills 85 people. Look at 1 Samuel chapter 22. He kills 85 people. And Ahimelech's son Abiathar escapes. And he escapes, and he comes and finds David and tells David what happened. Look down in verse 20. 1 Samuel 22, look at verse 20. It says, one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar showed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priests. And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day, when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul. Look what he says. I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house. You know what he realizes? David trying to do right. He's got Saul after him trying to kill him. He's just trying to get out of town. Now he's caused the death of 85 people. He's caused a problem here. Now not only is he sitting here dealing with the problem that he had where Saul's wanting to kill him, and he hadn't done anything wrong, and now by just leaving and who he talked to, now he's caused the death of 85 priests. 85 people there he's caused the death of. And he's sitting here now and he's looking at this situation. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Man, you ever been there? No matter what you're trying to do, it turns out bad. I mean, like hee-haw. If I didn't have no bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. And the more he tries, the more he's trying to do and get out of town and lay low, the more things are going wrong. And you know what it takes? It takes some fortitude. And you got here in this first situation right here where he's got the opportunity again. He had the opportunity to quit after he was good, after Saul was threatening to kill him and tried to kill him. Now he's got another situation here where he's sitting here and he's saying, you know what? I've caused some problems. I've caused a problem here just because of who I talked to. I didn't even think about what I was doing until I saw Doeg. When he saw Doeg, he thought, you know what? This could turn bad. But he went on. And here he is, and he's realizing, you know what? He says, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house. That's what he tells Abiathar. And Abiathar is looking at him. And he's sitting there. And in today's Christianity, you know what we would start doing? We start trying to give David some counsel. Start trying to tell him, you know, look, David, what your fault? You know, you have to deal with people that way today. You know why? Because we're soft. This is a tough situation to go through. Not only is he killing, not only is he somebody trying to kill him, now he's caused 85 people to die. I mean, that's 85 people. You think about that. I mean, they have a mass shooting today, and all those people that die, all the different people that it affects, the families that it affects. When you're in charge of something and you're over some people, you're making decisions, you're trying to do things. Sometimes you make a decision that's wrong and you realize this. It affects a lot of people. And that's a heavy weight to have. And when you're affected, and there's so many people and so many people's families, they're looking at you, there's a lot of pressure there. Especially when you're making those decisions. When they don't work out, it's on your shoulders. It's on your shoulders. And here David worked and did this thing right here and 85 people died. But you know what David did? He didn't quit. What do you do in a situation like that? What you have to do is you have to take responsibility for your actions. Look what it says now in verse 23. He says, Abide thou with me, fear not, for he that seeketh my life seeketh thy life. But with me thou shalt be in safeguard. You know what he's saying? I messed it up for you, Abiathar. But I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of this mess I made. You know what we do a lot of times? We make a mess, and then when it becomes a big mess, we want to defend ourselves, or we want to act like we didn't do anything wrong, or somebody else was just as bad as we are, and we don't ever get around to trying to fix what we messed up.
Yeah. Right.
What happens is right here is David gets in a situation here where he caused 85 people to die. And he kind of thought about it when it was going on, and at this point right here he realizes, you know what? I need to take care of Abiathar. I caused 85, caused his whole house to die. And now here Abiathar is running from Saul. David's like, look, you come with me, I'll take care of it. You know what people do today? They have problems. They have what they call mistakes, and they take care of it with abortions. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to take care of I messed up. I got a situation. I'm going to take responsibility and take care of what I'm supposed to. You know, people get married. When you get married, you got a responsibility you got to take care of. You know, a guy gets married, you know what he's got to do? He's got to grow up. Time to quit running with the boys. Time to quit enjoying life like he used to. Now he's got responsibilities. He's got a responsibility to his wife. If they start having children, he's got a responsibility to his children to raise them right. And I was talking to somebody the other day, was talking about children, talking about raising kids and talking about whipping kids and all that stuff. And I said, let me tell you something. I said, it's not child abuse. You know, what you're doing is you're whipping your kids because you have a responsibility to try to make them turn out right. You got to teach them. You got to teach them to submit to authority. You got to teach them to have responsibilities and to listen to you. So when they grow up, they can be a good citizen. They're going to do that. I remember I started talking to him about Stephen. Son, me and him went to the woodshed together a lot. 2 years old, 3 years old. Man, he's just stubborn. Had it in him. I remember Sarah saying I'd be taking him down to I think Miss Marcy's class. I don't know. Maybe it was toddlers. I don't know. It's all in a fog now. We'd be going down through there. It was every Sunday. Every Sunday we'd go there. He wouldn't go in. I'd take him into the bathroom. I'd give him a whipping. Then we'd walk back out, and I'd put him in, and I'd look at him, and he'd just stand there and look at me. Don't cry. You'll get another one. He'd do it. He'd make sure it worked, so he didn't have to get another whipping. That's all he could do. He got so bad we'd go down them steps, and Sarah would start giving him a pep talk on the way down through there. Steve, just go in the first time. I'm so tired of seeing you get a whipping. She actually felt sorry for him. And it's just tough. And it seemed like it was week after week. You know what, as a father, you know what you do in those situations? You take responsibility for your child. You don't leave it to your wife and get on to her because the kid ain't going to act up or anything like that. I took care of him. Went down there, took care of it. I remember one morning, I think, or one afternoon, one evening, somebody came up and got Beth. She went down there, and Miss Tracy was sitting on top of Stephen in the nursery, she said. Said he was going crazy down there. She just had to hold him down. I said, go get Miss Beth. Miss Beth walked in. Tracy said, oh man. One day I think when we were maybe ordaining Brother Dave, he punched Brother Darrell right in the mouth. Right there. He's laying here on the floor, crawling around, and Brother Dilbert was over here, and we were up here, and I could see him. He's looking at me. And Brother Darrell was sitting right there. And Brother Darrell said, get him. And he picked him up from behind. I could see Stephen's face. I seen that look. I thought, oh no. He tried to turn Stephen around. Stephen turned around. So what'd you do? Whipped him. Responsibility. I had a kid I got to take care of. What am I going to do? Is leave him to himself?
Yeah, that's right.
After he graduated, he finally made it. After he graduated, he was had an opportunity to get a job over here in Oak Ridge, and him and Joe had this plan he's going to move over there. And he said, Dad, he said, we might get this job over here at Oak Ridge, and me and Joe may get an apartment over there and move over there. He said, and save money before school starts. I said, so yeah? He goes, yeah. He said, what do you think? I said, well, I didn't want him to. So I sat here and I said, well, I said, do me a favor. He said, what? I said, tell me how much you're going to make, see how much apartment's going to be, how much electricity's going to be, your phone bill's going to be. So I start, groceries, gas, whatever, and see how much money you're going to clear. He said, all right. I said, but, you're 18. If that's what you want to do, son. I mean, you're going to stay here, you're going to buy my rules, but I can't keep you at the house. He said, all right. So he went through all that stuff and come back, and he said, it don't look like I'm going to save very much money. I didn't think you would. He said, do you want me to do it? I said, no, I'd rather you stay at the house. And I said, but you're 18, you can do what you want. He said, Dad. He said, I don't want to do nothing without your blessing.
Yeah. Amen.
Wow. And that's what happens after those years. You just got that responsibility. And the point is that, you have life and things go on and you get stuff in your life. You got responsibilities in your life. You know what you got to do? You just got to take care of them. You can't quit.
Right.
You can't get frustrated and quit whipping your child when they're 2 and 3 years old because they're going to be 14, 15, 16, and 17. When people get mad and they get frustrated because they end up what they say a mistake and they end up with abortion. You know what the problem with America today is? We want to quit. We don't have any fortitude anymore. We don't want to go the extra mile. We don't want to sit down and say, you know what, I'm not quitting. I'm going to finish this thing. I don't care what anybody's got to say. I can handle the situation. And that's what happens. You got to take your responsibility. Look over at, go to 1 Samuel chapter 25. 1 Samuel chapter 25. Before 1 Samuel chapter 25 comes on, what happens is David's in a cave. David gets in that cave and he's sitting there and he's got Saul. Saul comes in that cave And he's sitting there with his men. Saul don't know David and his men's in there. And here's his opportunity to kill Saul. And he gets in there and he's got that opportunity to kill Saul. He's got his opportunity to fix this whole mess. The guy that's trying to kill him. But you know what happens? He lets him go. Why did he let him go for? Because he feared God. He feared God. You know, this morning, Brother Dill was preaching. I was sitting here listening to him preach. He was talking about things that David went through. And I thought, he's preaching my message. But the more I listened to it, the more I realized he's talking about when he went through these problems, looking back at it. And he was looking at how God took care of him and the things that God did with him. And more than anything else was how that was good for him. And how it helped him. And how it got him ready to go on. And not just that, but also the fact that God counted him worthy to go through those problems and trusted him to go through those problems. But the thing is that David made it through it without quitting. Amen. He had the fortitude to go through those problems and he kept going. Where'd that fortitude come from? What was it? One of it was just taking responsibility for his own actions. The other thing, having been able to have the fortitude to make it through life as a Christian without quitting, is having the fear of God. When David cut that, it says that David cut the skirt off of Saul, and it says immediately his heart smote him because he touched the Lord's anointed. He sat there and he looked at that thing. You know what? There's things, people will say things today, and we don't think anything about it. We may make an off-color joke that's almost really bad to say in front of people, or we'll pull off somebody outside and say, well, we don't want to say it in front of kids. You know what happens? You lose the fear of God. You've got to have the fear of God to be able to have the fortitude to make it through problems when you're going through it. Also in 1 Samuel chapter 25, so as David's going through, it seems like one thing's going wrong after another thing's going wrong. And then what happens is in 1 Samuel chapter 25, he's just out in the woods there, and he gets hooked up with a guy named Nabal. And Nabal's got all his men out there. And his men's got sheep out there. And David's out there. You know what he's doing? He's protecting them. He's just out there protecting those people. It comes down to the time to where he realizes Nabal's getting ready to shear the sheep. And he says, go down there to Nabal and ask him. Tell him that we've been out here protecting these guys out here, and we'd like to have some of that food. And so basically they go down through there. Now, here's what you've got David so far. David's done nothing wrong. So he ends up, Saul's one to kill him. And then because when he leaves, he talks to Ahimelech, 85 people die. Then he ends up there in a cave and he's got an opportunity to kill Saul. And he don't do that. And Saul ends up going back and he still stays on the run. So he's still at the point where he ain't done anything wrong, but everything seems like it's going wrong. And here he's with this guy and he's taking care of his stuff. Now wouldn't you think if you was helping a guy out and taking care of his stuff, the least he could do is help you out if you're hungry? I mean, when you talk to his guy, the men that worked for Nabal, they were like, man, they were like a wall to us. There wasn't nothing in here. We didn't lose anything when we were out there. So evidently they were losing sheep before or herd before. I don't know what was going on, but buddy, they knew this time that David's men were taking care of them. Right. And so David's thinking, man, the least you can do is give us something to eat. And not only did he not give them something to eat, he also questioned David's integrity. Right. David's sitting here and David ain't done anything but good to Nabal. And they come to Nabal and Nabal says, I don't know who he is. Who's this David? Today, man, everybody's running from their master. Who knows what he's doing? And you know what he's done? He's got David to the end of his rope. David is done. David's at the end of his rope and he's like, you know what? I've had enough of this. I ain't taking it from this guy. And David gets his men together and he's headed out through there and he's getting ready to shed some blood. Not just Nabal. He's getting ready to wipe them all out. Innocent blood. He's getting ready to take them all out. And that ain't the thing to do. Well, Abigail catches wind of it. And so when Abigail catches wind of it, you know what she does? She goes out there and she meets David. And she says, look down in 1 Samuel chapter 25. Look down in verse 23. It says, when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet, and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be. And let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience. and hear the words of thine handmaid. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal. For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand. Now let thine enemies, and they that seek evil to my Lord, be as Nabal. Now look what it says right there. It says in verse 26, it says, Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood. You know what he's saying? As Dylan was talking about this morning, about going back and about that pavilion, about being with God through that place, when you look through these times with David right here, you know what you find out? The Bible says that God wouldn't let Saul get to David. David didn't know that. And Saul's on one side of the mountain, David's on the other side of the mountain. And God's sitting there, and you know what God's doing? He's creating interference. He's keeping David alive. He's taking care of David. David didn't even know what was going on until he got to this side of it. Right. And here you got him, David's so mad. He's so angry. He's so frustrated. Don't think that what happens when you go through trials? And you go through problems and things are rough, like I was talking about earlier. When we go through problems, it's so easy to quit. What are you facing this week? There's things going on, and you know what? It's easy to get angry at people. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to get disturbed where you just want to quit. And David was at the end of his rope. And David's coming through there, and he's ready to wreak havoc on Nabal. And God sends Abigail out there. You know what the good thing that David did? You know why David had the fortitude to make it through all this and finally become king? Because when that anger overtook him and he was so frustrated, he was able to listen to reason. That's what happened to him. Abigail comes out there and she just starts talking to him. She bowed her head, she got down on her feet, and she said, just let this iniquity come on me. And David was mad. But David was a man after God's own heart. And this lady came in and she showed down her humbleness and looked up to David. You know what she said? She said, you're messing up. Just take this food. I got this and I got this, and I didn't know that they didn't come to me, they came to Nabal. Don't worry about him. He's a big mouth anyway. The Lord's brought me through here to keep you from shedding blood. Look down in verse 33. Or look at verse 32. The Bible says, And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice. And blessed be thou, which has kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hadst hasted and come to meet me, sure there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. You know what David was doing? David's going to kill them all. When you're going through problems, and you're going through trials, you know some of the things that's going to get you to quit on God? Is anger, getting mad. I've had enough. I've had enough of this. I'm tired of this. I ain't doing it anymore. And you get frustrated, you get aggravated. It may be toward your spouse, it may be toward a kid, it may be toward another brother in the church. I don't know. It could be just a lot of stuff goes on in people's lives. Who knows? And things happen. You might be going through some things that nobody else knows about. And man, you're to the boiling point, and you get there and you get to the end of your rope, and man, you're ready to just explode. But you know what you need to do? Be ready to listen to some reason. God's going to come to you. God's going to send somebody to you. The Holy Spirit's going to come to you, and He's going to say, you know better than that. You're just as bad as they are. You said just as much as they said. Everybody else got problems just like you do. Quit showing yourself. Chill out. Act like you got some sense. That's what happens. And if you can get off by yourself and you can get over by yourself, you know what you can do? You can calm down and you can collect yourself, collect your thoughts, realize what's going on before you say some words that you can't take back. Before you do something that you can't take back, because once it's out, you ain't bringing it back in. Once those words are out, they're going to hurt. And what David did, you know what he was doing there? They said, old Nabal was looking at him like, I don't know who this guy is. And man, that flew all over David. Ain't you ever just sit there when you're doing right and you're trying to do everything the right way and somebody acts like they know your motive?
Yeah.
Look at that guy. Man, it just runs all over you.
Amen.
That's what happened to David. Look down at, go to 1 Samuel chapter 30. 1 Samuel chapter 30. I'm going to tell you one thing that you never see through these chapters where David is just at the end of his rope. And he's ready to throw in the towel, or he's frustrated, or he's aggravated, or whatever he's going through, the problems he's going through. You know, you're never going to find through here where God coddled David. He didn't. That's all we want to do is we just want to let's go talk to them, let's help them, let's do this, or you know, you just want to try to coddle somebody or help somebody, and that's what we should do. We should have some compassion. But folks, there comes a point where compassion just needs to be over. And I have one of my kids in school here and had a lot going on, and they really did have a lot going on. Had school going on, had work going on, had bills to pay, and all this stuff happening, and just trying to get through it. And it's frustrating. And they were talking about just how stressful life was. And I was saying, and I listened. And I could tell, you know, it was stressful, and I talked them through it, and helped them through it, and was working with them, and talking through it. And they came in the next day, and they was talking about, yeah, I got this, but man, I'll tell you, blah, 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 and just had some more stuff they were dealing with that was stressful, so I kind of helped. But it seemed like the more that I tried to help, the more they got used to just wanting to come and complain. And finally one day they came in and I'm so stressed. And I lost it. I said, dry it up. I said, I'm sick to death of this. Suck it up, get busy, get your business took care of, quit procrastinating, quit laying around, quit whining. You ain't got no problems.
Right.
Somebody found out they got cancer today. That's problems.
Amen.
They were just like, I was at the end of it. And you say, Brother Jack, that's so hard. No, I've been helping them. But folks, I'm going to tell you something. There comes a point where you just get used to that, and that's all you want. You just want to get coddled. You want to get coddled. And somewhere along the line, somebody's got to tell you, straighten up, get going, and move on. You know what? Life's tough. Yeah, it's tough for everybody. And it's even tougher if you sit down and don't do anything.
Amen.
So what do you got to do? God never coddled David through any of this mess. All these problems going on. David, anytime God, I've not done anything wrong. He could have done that at any time. I've had enough, Lord. I can't take it. 1 Samuel chapter 30. And he's about to the end of his rope for sure here. 1 Samuel chapter 29. And he gets another spot there with Saul where God did something else and David didn't even realize it. Saul was asleep, and David went down and took a sword and by a cruse of water there, and he took that away from him, and he got out there and he says, or a spear, and he got out there and he run off and he hollers at him. And then Saul wakes up and he realizes David said, I could have killed you again, Saul. If I was trying to kill you, I could have killed you again. And he starts making fun of Abner. Abner, you should die. Look what just happened. But what the Bible tells you through there is that God had put a deep sleep on him. You know what God was doing? God was with him the whole time. Yeah. Just like Brother Dillard preached this morning. God was there the whole time. God was helping him through it the whole time. He didn't see it till it was over. But he had to have the fortitude to keep going on. He had to be able to listen to reason. He had to be able to take responsibility for his actions. And here, looking in 1 Samuel chapter 30, the story here is what's going on is that David was with the Philistines. And they said, you ain't fighting with us. We don't know if you're going to be with us or be with them, whatever. He said, go back. And so he goes back, and when he gets back, he finds out that the city that the Philistines had given him, Ziklag, had been burnt. And everybody had been taken. It says, and it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag and smitten Ziklag and burned it with fire, and had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire. And their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Look what it says here in verse 4. You talk about going through some stuff. You think about all the stuff that David's been through, and now here he is with all these men that came. And he's lost it all. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. You ever been there? You ever been just so distraught that you started crying? It's such a tragedy you've been through, or such a problem you've been through, and you cried till you couldn't cry anymore. Your tears were just, you just cried till you couldn't just get another tear. It says, and David's 2 wives were taken captives. Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal, the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. It got to the place to where these guys started looking around. And you know what they did? They started questioning his leadership. They started looking around thinking, is this what you brought us to? Is this where you got us to, David? The great David? We've lost it all, David! They're all sitting around, they're all talking, and David's sitting here, they're all crying and weeping. And somebody, they don't know what else to do. Let's kill David. He's the one that's got us in this mess. And at that moment right there, you think, God's surely going to come in and help him. God's going to feel sorry for him. And David's sitting there, and he's going through those problems, just like you go through every day. Ain't did anything wrong. Just trying to do what God's called him to do. Trying to get done what God wants him to get done. But nothing he's doing seems to be working. And at this moment, he's lost everything that he loves. Everything that he's stripped, folks. Listen, he is at the end here. And it says at the end of verse 6, but David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. You got to have responsibility to be able to have the fortitude to go through problems. You got to be able to listen to reason. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is this right here. You've got to stay close to God. The moment you get so frustrated, and you get so aggravated, or you get so mad or distressed that you quit reading your Bible, and you quit praying, and you quit seeking God, you're not going to have the fortitude to make it. And it's so easy when you feel like you're going through something, and you may even feel like God did you wrong. You may feel like God should have done it better in that situation. There's no way to know. There's no way to fix that. There's no way to get an answer. There's no way to get comfort other than God. And David's sitting there, and he's at the end of his rope. He's lost everything. They're talking about killing him. Now not only Saul's killing him, now his own people's killing him. I mean, you talk about a guy that was at the height of popularity, could do no wrong, had killed Goliath, could whip Philistines, could whip everybody. I mean, everybody, he was everybody's hero. And he's nobody's hero. Nobody's got any confidence in him. Everybody, he's let everybody down. He has nobody. Samuel died in 1 Samuel 25. Jonathan's not there. Nobody's there. But you know who's there? God. That's the only one.
Right.
And it's the hardest thing to get a hold of when you're going through tragedies, you're going through trials. I want to pray, I want to read my Bible, but I just need an answer so fast. I just need this to change so quick. God ain't going to coddle you. You know what He wants to see? He wants to see fortitude. He wants to see you push on and not quit and say, you know what? I don't care what happens. I don't care if it works, I don't care if it don't work, but I'm going to fight, and I'm going to keep fighting until I'm done. And I don't care what happens. At least this much, they're going to know they were in a fight. The devil's going to know he was in a fight. I'm not going to quit. It says that David inquired of the Lord. When you get to that point where you're so distraught and you're so distressed and you've got stuff going on and it's to the point you're sick of life, because you'll get there. You'll get there. And you're going to be frustrated with your lot in life and the way your life is and what your life consists of and what's going on in your life and I don't know what all's happened. and where you're at and what you ain't getting that other people's got and how it always goes bad for you. And you're going to get in that spot. And when you do, you better look up. That's the only help you're going to have. I can tell you this, you won't be the first person that's ever been there. And God ain't going to coddle you. It didn't say God sent a prophet to David. I know what it said. It said David told Abiathar, let's go talk to God. I'm going to go talk to God. God didn't blame him. God didn't go chase him down. He waited for David to come to him. As Gilbert said this morning, it was this battle right here. It was the last battle before the throne. This is when it broke loose. This is when it finally happened. That's when he finally got the coronation. He finally became king. It was after this battle right here. You know what? Once he sat there and he went to God, it finally turned. And when it turned, he understood. He's seen it all. And that's what he's writing about in the book of Psalms. He's looking back, and that's when he's bragging on God and talking about God and seeing the hand of God. Do you have fortitude? Do you have the fortitude to just go on? I was talking to those girls last week on Wednesday night out there at basketball. I was talking about fortitude, and I was talking about just going on. I said, you know what? I said, you know what would really surprise you folks? Is if you went home and told them a story about somebody doing you wrong, teacher doing you wrong, coach doing you wrong, somebody doing you wrong. When they got upset and they was ready to go do something about it, you say, don't worry about it, Mom. I got this. I can handle it. I'm a big girl. I got this. All they said was this. Ain't no big deal. We got to get back to where in life we're not so sensitive. We're not so quick to just get mad and get ready and get frustrated and just want to quit on God or reach out and lash out at somebody and try to defend ourselves. You know what we got to be? We got to get to that point where we can say, you know what? I got this. No big deal. All he said was this. I've said the same thing the other people. That's all you got to do. That's it. All right, so I'll stand. Talking about fortitude. David made it through all that stuff because of fortitude, because he had fortitude. He had the ability to just keep pressing on. When it didn't seem like pressing on was going to help, he did it anyway. And everybody has problems. And how you handle those problems is how you're going to handle life. The better you handle those problems, the better you handle the next stuff. This angel goes ahead and starts playing.